Sorry, man.
Okay, I'll go on from that. You talk about congestion and the scheduling. You have been on this Thursday cycle and they've thrown you another Thursday game in the League Cup. Do you wish you? Is there anything you can do? Can you make it?
No, not really. I mean, it would have been nice. It's not only that. I think we've always, for some bizarre reason, seemed to have a day less than every opponent we've played so far. So it kind of affects us both ways. But you look. We all know how it works. You're kind of at the kind of behest of higher authorities in terms of broadcasters and that. When it comes to fixturing, very little say we have in it apart from accepting the fact that this is going to be our schedule.
You mentioned Mikey has been one of your first off the cabs as well when we last spoke about it. Is that still?
Yeah, he's still on track. Him and Richie are kind of in the final phases, so we're hoping that lost track of days, but yeah, next week they can start training. We've got a bit of a gap before the Newcastle game, So the plan is Mikey and Richie to sort of come back into first team training next week.
Well, we'll just go on further to what you were saying before. It feels like a bad run of results. It feels like everything's stacked against you, but you're confident that you can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Something from this season.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we're not that far. We're not that far off. I mean, it was, a week ago I was sitting here after, winning a Carabao Cup quarter final and having beaten Southampton 5-0. So it seems like at the moment, we can't get a lot of traction in terms of just getting some consistency in anything in terms of, just having healthy players and sort of hitting a run of form. But I think we have the capability of doing that. We just need some reinforcements. Some will come when we get some injuries back. But, look, I still think, you look at, some of the teams that are above us are 4 or 5 points above us in the league. I don't think that's going to stretch by any great lengths over the next sort of period, because I think all teams you're seeing are suffering at some point. Ours is probably a bit more extreme than others, but I'm confident we'll work through that. And, once we get through it, like I said, I think we'll come out stronger for it.
And just on the number of setbacks that seem to be happening, Mickey, Christian, Alderbear, Richarlison, maybe in that category as well. I mean, when these things recur, do you have to look at your own methods, the medical department? I mean,
Obviously, we look at it. I think that's been our major problem this year, is guys who are coming back from injury rather than us losing players as such. Because, knock on wood, but the core group of players who are playing every game and training every game are having no issues. So we're kind of looking at those things and why that's happening. It certainly happened too often this year, where guys have come back and and they're the ones who are missing. Most of them, I think, just about all of them, apart from maybe Vic, reoccurrence of another injury. So even with Romero, even though it's it was a different injury, it's still a guy coming back. So it is stuff we're looking at.
With the schedule being what it is now, I think you're about to have nearly a week off, but that's the first one since August.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
Does everything have to change? You have to change the way you do sports science, and it's just a kind of brave new world of.
Look, I don't know. It is challenging. It is something that, like I said last week, I think all clubs are going to have to sort of get their heads around, and maybe authorities have to get their heads around, because I think one of two things need to happen. Well, either you kind of somehow, change the fixture schedule, which doesn't seem feasible, or you allow clubs bigger squads, and then you've got other issues with that as well. But I think the attrition rate you're seeing with, and like I said, it's not just us at the moment. We're going through a particularly bad period at the moment. I think Newcastle went through it last year, and affected them pretty badly. They were in obviously Champions League as well, and probably didn't have the squad to cope with it. So it hits certain clubs at different times, but I think it's becoming more prevalent. And for all of us, it's a challenge as to how we navigate this process to try and keep our players healthy, and kind of how we because it's not just, it's a physical thing, it's a mental thing. Like I said, it's, for us, it's been constant since August. So, even mentally, the players, you've got to feel it. We're only halfway through, not even halfway through the year yet, and yet, they're not getting it. They're not going to get a break now. So, all those kind of things are things we're constantly sort of assessing.
I think I just asked after the Liverpool game, it felt like you sort of suggested you weren't going to talk about your approach anymore. You sort of said, "I'm done answering those questions." I mean, was that kind of heat of the moment thing after the game, or can we expect you to?
Well, I'm going to get asked about it, so obviously I'm going to. I mean, look, I said, I said afterwards that look, when you're disappointed, I just think some people aren't genuine about it. They just use it to poke me, and after a loss, I'm going to react. So I understand that. So that's part of the game. I think if there's genuine questions, I'm happy to answer them. But I think some people just go, you know what, he's not going to be happy. Let's just ask him whether he's got a plan B, and they think they're clever, and like I said, I'm a human being. I'm not. I don't like losing, so they get a reaction out of me. They're happy. They go home. They tell their friends about it. Just see what my mate ANGE say, and life goes on, mate. That's fine. I'm happy to cop that, but I'm always. I think you know that I'm always open to talk about my beliefs and my methodology to anyone who's got genuine questions about it.
Done.
Actually, I think we probably nearly get nearly as frustrated as asking the same questions you do, answering them. But flipping that round, how, in a situation like this, where the bad news does keep on coming in terms of injuries in particular, how do you keep yourself fresh for your players and say new things to them?
Well, that's the challenge of the role. It's what I love about the role. I've never, as much as people kind of think that, there's a set way of doing this job, but what I love about it is it's always been one that you just don't know what's around the corner. You just, it's never run a smooth path, whether that's during a season, during a week, during a day, during a game, and it's what I've always loved about it, because you've got to always kind of be, sort of mentally alert to deal with what's in front of you, not get sort of bogged down in things that you can't really influence or control. And like I said, there's always things that come along. I mean, you ask any manager how he feels after a win, and he'll tell you he feels good for about a second, and then his mind is racing about what is going to come next, because there's something that's going to come next. And like I said, it's what I love about the role. It's you never get up and this is going to run smoothly today. It doesn't happen. And I think because of that, I'm always prepared for these kind of situations. And I think it is important that the way I am and kind of my body language and how I speak is really important at this time, because I think other people take a lead off that, rightly so. But I'm I've often said in the past, this is we're in a tough spot, and there's a big fight at hand. But I love that. I love that I'm right in the middle of it, and my job is to try and get us out of it.
So that positivity is important, because given that another injury to Jackson, that feels like a bit of bad news, but I guess in these situations, the players can start using that kind of that negativity as an excuse.
And to be fair, credit to the players, they haven't. They're still trying so hard. I mean, I think that's the first thing you kind of look at as a manager is are the players still responding to this? Are they kind of looking for an alternative out there? But I haven't sensed that at all. And it's very easy to, because it's again human nature to think, well, we need to do something different, or we're obviously undermanned. Let's change something. I haven't sensed that. The players really still want to tackle this the way we're tackling it, and I think it's a credit to them. But again, it's up to me to sort of guide them through that and just show them that. All these things, like I said, are temporary. You'll get through them. And if we do get through them in a positive way, and I guess the bonus and the benefit of getting it through, if we get through it the way I want us to, is it makes you stronger, because whatever you face in the future, you've kind of been through probably worse and overcome it.
Finish with John, please.
Hey, John.
Hello, Andrew. Just watching match of the day last night, they had Joe Hart in the studio, and he obviously is a player that loved working under you, and he was talking about the importance of your meetings both pre and post match. and just saying, you know, how inspirational they were. Can you still get that message across? Because we're not just talking about inspiration here, we're talking about injuries, but how important are those meetings?
Yeah.
And how much do you enjoy kind of that challenge to get the players out?
Yeah, well, I hope so. I hope they're still important because, you know, I think they are, you know, they've been a big part of sort of, you know, the way I coach and manage people. You know, I think, you know, the ability to engage with people and tell stories and get them to kind of believe in something, I think is important. I think if something resonates with someone, they're more likely to go, you know, that extra level in terms of effort, in terms of commitment to do something, if they can sort of understand it, why we're doing it. And so it's an important part of kind of what I do. And, you know, I still put a lot of stock in that. I think a lot about what I say to players and why I'm saying it. So that, you know, hopefully, like I said, especially in tough times, that they still feel they're connected to what we're trying to build and trying to create. So it's, I think it's really important.
Do you often veer away from football?
Yeah, very often. Yeah. I mean, you know, some of it's lost to them because of the generation gap, but that doesn't stop me. I still keep going, and I'll tell stories. Oh, whatever. I mean, I think there's always things in life that you can sort of relate to in terms of what we're trying to do as a club, and even the way we're playing. You know, there are always people in life who, you know, people look at a bit curiously because they do things differently, and they're a bit of a joke till they get it right, and all of a sudden they're a genius. So it's probably relevant to us right now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, happy New Year, but nice. Thanks, gents. Very good.